People walk around with the weight of time on their shoulders, counting the years they lost, the chances they missed, the roads they never took. They look back at all the mistakes, all the failures, all the moments they thought were leading somewhere, only to end up with empty hands and a heavy heart. And that's the kind of thing that eats people alive. They whisper to themselves, if only I had done this, if only I had chosen that, if only I could go back. But time doesn't work like that, does it? It doesn't rewind, doesn't slow down, doesn't stop just because someone begs it to. Lost time. Isn't it such a lovely thing to talk about, you know? Everyone always gets so hung up on the idea of time slipping through their fingers. You're supposed to be making all these grand plans, right? You start a business, chase a dream, fall in love, lose yourself, only to realize that life never cares about your grand designs. It just keeps ticking away, doesn't it? Time waits for no one, or does it? I'm sure you've heard that one before. Time, dear friend, doesn't actually waste itself. No, it just looks like it. The way we look at things makes us feel like we're losing something valuable. But here's the kicker. Time has a funny way of preparing you for things you can't even imagine. Ever notice that? You thought you wasted your years in a dead-end job? Oh, no, you weren't wasting time. You were learning how to handle pressure, how to face disappointment, how to survive when everything seems broken. You thought your years of relationships, heartbreaks, and fake smiles were wasted? Well, guess what? You weren't wasting time. You were figuring out who's real and who's not. Time was simply giving you the tools to see through the facade. People love to say things like, you've wasted all your time. They pity you, they look at you like you've missed the boat. But here's a little secret. Nothing in life is ever wasted unless you let it be. Time itself, it doesn't know how to waste anything. It just gives you what you need. It hands you every experience, every hurt, every failure, and says, here, try this on for size, and you do, and it sucks. And you wonder why you're in the mess you're in. But that mess is going to be the spark of something big. Oh yes, something very big. You see, life doesn't waste anything. It may look like you're falling behind, like you've got nothing to show for all that time you put in. But really, you're just being prepared for something bigger than you can wrap your head around. You've spent years thinking you were on the wrong path. You've been chasing things, desperately holding on to dreams that slipped away like sand through your fingers. But if you think about it, don't you see? All those moments, all that so-called wasted time, they've been preparing you for something that's going to hit you like a freight train. It's the kind of thing you can't prepare for. But oh, when it happens, you'll be ready. You'll be ready because you learned all the lessons through every so-called failure. Every second you thought you lost was actually building you up for a future that would make all of it worthwhile. You think you wasted time in a relationship that turned out to be a lie? Let's not sugarcoat it. It hurt, right? But that pain, that mess, that's your fuel. That's what's going to keep you going when the world tries to drag you down. You didn't waste that time, no. It was a lesson disguised as a broken heart. And now you'll know exactly what to do when someone tries to play you again. And the job, the dead-end, soul-sucking job you swore you'd leave in the dust, that too, my friend, is preparation. You thought it was just about collecting a paycheck, but it was more than that. It was about learning how to survive in a system designed to chew you up and spit you out. It was about sharpening your resilience. You thought it was a waste? Nah, you were collecting experience that will pay off whether you see it now or not. That kind of grit, that ability to hang on when everyone else gives up, that's priceless. But here's the most beautiful part. Life has a funny way of turning everything around. Those wasted years, they were never wasted. They were seasoning you for the feast that's about to come. All that time you thought you were spending in limbo, waiting for something to change, for something to happen. That was just the universe putting everything in place. You couldn't see it because you were too busy looking at the clock. But now, now it's coming together. The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place, and when you look back, you'll see that every step, every misstep, every moment of doubt was leading you to where you are supposed to be. So stop looking at your past like it's a pile of wasted time. It's not. It's the preparation ground for the big shift, the major turnaround that's about to unfold. All the moments of disappointment, the struggles, the times you felt like you had nothing, those are the moments that shaped you. You may not see it yet, but trust me, you'll see it soon enough. Everything you've been through, it's all leading to the greatest show. And the best part, you're ready for it. You've been ready for it all along. You think it's all falling apart, don't you? You've been told your whole life to wait for the right time. And for what? The pieces don't seem to fit, the clock's ticking, and every second feels like you're sinking deeper into the quicksand of missed opportunities. People keep whispering to you, telling you everything's gonna be okay, that it'll all work out in the end, but you're starting to wonder if they're just saying that to make themselves feel better, or if they're genuinely trying to convince you that you're not losing. Because let's face it, how could it possibly all work out when nothing seems to make sense? You look around at others, and you see them on the fast track to success. They're getting the promotion, getting the love, getting the life they always dreamed of. And then there's you, stuck in this endless cycle of when. When will my time come? Why is everyone moving forward and I'm standing still? It's almost like you're stuck in a nightmare you can't wake up from. Nothing is moving. Time is stretching out before you like a desert, and you're walking through it, step by slow step, waiting for something, anything, to happen. But here's where it gets interesting. While you're busy looking at everyone else, while you're staring at the clock and measuring your worth by what others have, something is happening beneath the surface. See, people love to tell you that time is running out. They love to make you feel like you're missing the boat. But here's the thing, that boat, it's a distraction. It's a mirage. You're not missing anything. No. Life is teaching you something much more profound right now. It's teaching you patience, teaching you how to stand still when the world wants you to sprint. You see, everyone's running around like chickens with their heads cut off trying to get to the finish line, but you've got a different race ahead. A race that doesn't follow the same rules. It doesn't care about the clock. It doesn't care about the rush. Well, that's a tricky thing. You've been so caught up in the race, thinking you have to keep up, thinking you have to move forward, that you've missed something. Life is giving you the space, the breathing room to get ready for something big. You see, in the waiting, in the uncertainty, that's where the magic happens. You thought you were wasting time, but you weren't. You were building yourself up for what comes next, gathering wisdom, resilience, and strength, all without even knowing it. All those moments you thought you were treading water, doing nothing. You were preparing yourself for something bigger than you could possibly imagine. Now, let's talk about this idea of wasted time. The thing is, time doesn't waste itself. It can't. It just is. It's the way you choose to see it that matters. The truth is, every single second, every minute you think you're wasting, it's all moving you closer to your moment. You're just too busy looking around, too focused on other people's timelines to realize it. You're so caught up in thinking you're falling behind that you can't even see how far you've actually come. Every hardship, every mistake, every failed attempt, it's all a lesson. And my friend, lessons aren't wasted. They just don't show their value until the right moment comes. And that moment, it's coming. But here's the twist in the story. You've got to stop waiting for some grand revelation, some sign to tell you that you've arrived. There's no sign coming. You're already here. You've already been through it all, and now it's about to pay off. All that struggle, all that waiting, all that wondering why nothing was happening, that was the universe setting the stage for your breakthrough. You didn't see it because you were too busy judging the situation, too busy thinking you should be somewhere else. But now you can see it. Now you can feel it, can't you? The shift is coming. And all the time you thought you lost, it wasn't lost. It was preparation. The kind of preparation that turns you into something you never even thought you could be. So stop looking at the clock. Stop comparing yourself to others. They've got their own path, their own race. You've got yours. And it's not about speed, it's about timing. You think you've been stuck, but really, you've been exactly where you needed to be. Every second, every minute, every hour, it's all been for this. And when the time comes, when everything finally clicks into place, you'll realize that all those years you thought were wasted weren't wasted at all. They were the foundation of everything you're about to become. And that, my friend, is worth more than any minute you could ever waste. You think you've got it all figured out, don't you? You think the world's playing by your rules. But the truth, the truth is a twisted game. Everyone's running around thinking they know where they're going, like little ants marching on a path that was set for them by someone else. But I've got news for you. That path, it's not really a path at all. It's an illusion, a trick, a distraction from the real show that's going on right under your nose. You've spent so much time, haven't you? You've been stuck trying to fit in, trying to play nice, trying to please everyone else, always looking for validation, always wondering if you're good enough, if you're smart enough, if you've done enough to earn a seat at the table. The truth is, you were never supposed to fit in. That's the grand joke. This isn't about pleasing anyone else. It's not about following the rules they made for you. It's about breaking free from the game entirely, ripping up that script and rewriting it. You're not supposed to follow, you're supposed to lead. You were never meant to be some cog in the machine. The machine was built around you. But here's the thing about machines. They break. They all break eventually. The system you've been forced to play in, it's falling apart. You don't see it yet. You don't hear the cracks, do you? You're too busy playing the role they handed you, too busy playing it safe. Too busy keeping up the facade. But guess what? The world's been flipping upside down for a while now, and everything you thought was rock solid is starting to crumble. The walls are closing in, and you can feel it, can't you? The pressure is mounting. The pressure to do more, be more, follow more. It's exhausting, isn't it? And it should be. But let's stop pretending like we're all in control. That's what's so funny about this whole thing. You've been acting like you're steering the ship, like you have some grand destiny mapped out ahead of you, and maybe you've been trying to force it, push it into place. You've been gripping the wheel, desperately trying to make sense of the chaos around you, thinking you're the one who's in control. But guess what? You're not. You never were. Oh, sure, you've got ideas, right? You've got plans, you've got dreams, you've got all these things you're supposed to accomplish. You've been running around chasing after some idea of success, some idea of happiness, and you're just as lost as everyone else. But there's a beauty in that, isn't there? There's a beauty in the fact that it's all slipping through your fingers like sand in the wind. You can try to hold on to it, you can try to control it, but it'll just slip away again and again and again. So why not just let it happen? I mean, really, what's the worst that could happen? You're already in this mess. You're already tangled up in this web. So why not let go of that control? Why not let the world take the wheel for a bit? Oh, you'll fight it. You'll resist it at first, won't you? You'll try to make sense of it. You'll try to fix everything and put it back together. But let me tell you something. The world doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't care about your ideas of success. And thank God for that, because those plans, they're overrated. You've been so obsessed with getting to a destination that you've forgotten what happens on the way. You've forgotten what it's like to just exist, to just be, to stop trying so hard. You see, you don't need to know what's coming next. You don't need to have everything mapped out. The moment you realize that, oh, that's the moment the magic happens. The moment you stop fighting the flow of life and just let it carry you along, that's when you start to see things shift. You start to realize that all the stress, all the fear, all the worry, it doesn't really matter. Because when you let go, that's when things start to make sense. Yeah, it's a bit twisted, isn't it? A bit backwards, if you think about it. You've been trying so hard to make sense of everything, trying to build the perfect future, when the truth is, there's no such thing. There's only right now. And right now, the only thing you can control is how you respond to the chaos. You can either fight it, resist it, and drown in it, or you can laugh. You can laugh at how ridiculous it all is. You can laugh at how nothing makes sense, and that's okay. Because you're free. The freedom you've been searching for, it was never in the plans. It's in the letting go. It's in the surrender. You've spent so long looking for the answers, and the real answer was always inside you. It's the ability to laugh, to embrace the absurdity of it all, to just stop trying to fight against the tide. When you stop struggling, when you let the current take you, that's when you'll realize everything you thought you had to do, every rule you thought you had to follow, it's all just smoke and mirrors. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? The grand delusion, the dirty little lie we all tell ourselves. You know the one. The idea that you're in control, that somehow you're steering the ship. Oh, it's adorable, really. We all try so hard to make sense of it all, don't we? We think that if we just push the right buttons, pull the right strings, everything will fall into place. It's all just one big performance, isn't it? We pretend we have the script all figured out. We put on the mask, we smile, we nod, and we try to look like we're doing fine, like we're managing the chaos, but here's the thing. It's all smoke and mirrors. The illusion is wearing thin, and deep down you know it. You've spent so much time trying to fix things, right? Trying to put everything back together, trying to make the broken pieces fit, and yet no matter how hard you try, it never quite works, does it? Things break, things crumble, things slip right through your fingers like sand. But let me ask you, why does it have to be this way? Why do you keep banging your head against a wall, expecting the universe to behave according to your rules? The truth is, it's never going to work like that. You can push, you can prod, you can beg and plead all you want, but life doesn't care. It doesn't follow your script. It never did. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, if I just work harder, if I just try harder, I can make it all work. And that's where the joke is. You can't. Not like that. You're not in control, no matter how much you try to convince yourself otherwise. And guess what? That's okay. That's actually the best news you could ever hear. Because when you realize you're not in control, when you let go of that illusion, that's when you're free. That's when the real magic happens. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, all right? So what does that mean? It means that maybe, just maybe, there's a better way to go about this whole thing. Instead of trying to force everything into the shape you think it should be, maybe you should just stop. Stop pushing, stop forcing, stop trying to bend the world to your will. It doesn't work. The harder you push, the more you lose. Instead, what if you just let go? What if you just stepped back, took a deep breath, and let the pieces fall where they may? Oh, I know. You're terrified. Terrified that if you let go, everything will fall apart, that you'll be left with nothing. But here's the thing, my friend. Everything is already falling apart. You've just been too busy holding on to notice. And holding on tight only keeps you stuck in the same place, going round in circles. It's like being on a merry-go-round. You're not going anywhere, but you're pretending like it's taking you somewhere important. You know what happens when you let go of the ride, right? You fall off. But it's only when you fall off that you realize you weren't going anywhere in the first place. It was all a joke, a little bit of illusion designed to keep you distracted. So, what happens when you stop trying to control the chaos? What happens when you stop forcing things into place? You stop spinning your wheels hoping for some perfect result that was never going to happen in the first place. You stop worrying about how everything looks and start experiencing life as it is. You stop needing things to be perfect because guess what? You realize that perfection is a lie. It doesn't exist. And the sooner you stop chasing it, the sooner you can actually enjoy the ride. But wait, there's more. What happens next is a little unexpected. You see, when you stop trying so hard, when you let go of the weight, you make room for something else, something better, something that wasn't in your plans. It wasn't part of your neat little checklist. It's a surprise, a gift. And that's the trick, my friend, the secret to it all. The best things in life are never planned. They're never part of the neat little schedule you've created for yourself. They just show up when you stop looking for them, when you stop trying to force them into being. And don't give me that look. I'm not saying you shouldn't try. No, I'm not saying you should give up on your dreams. What I'm saying is that you've been doing it all wrong. You've been trying to control it. You've been trying to make it happen on your own. And look where that's gotten you. Nowhere. It's like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. You can't control it, you can't tame it, you can only let it strike when it's ready. And when it strikes, you'll be there, waiting, ready to catch it, ready to laugh at the absurdity of it all. Because when you stop fighting against the current, when you stop battling the world, that's when you realize that everything you've been looking for, Well, let's talk about a little thing called timing. Timing, what a tricky, elusive beast. Everyone thinks they've got it figured out. Everyone believes they can control it, and yet, when it really comes down to it, timing is like the one thing that has no respect for your plans. Oh, you thought you had it all planned out, didn't you? You made the list, you checked it twice. And isn't it funny? You try so hard and still things fall apart. But here's the kicker. You're not the one in charge of timing. You never were. You can spend your whole life chasing it, trying to predict it, trying to bend it to your will, but timing doesn't care. It's not interested in your little agenda. You think you're running the show, don't you? Oh, you think you're orchestrating the grand performance. But the truth is, timing doesn't ask for your permission. It shows up when it feels like it, and when it does, you'd better be ready. Because when it strikes like a bolt of lightning, fast, unexpected, and wild. If you're busy trying to force everything to happen on your own, if you're scrambling to make it fit, you'll miss it. You'll miss the chance, the opportunity, the perfect moment, because you were too busy pulling all the wrong strings. And let's not even talk about those moments when you think it's all falling apart. Ah, yes, those moments. The ones where everything feels like it's going to hell. The times when you're sure that nothing will ever make sense again. Your whole world is in chaos, and all you want to do is scream, right? You've been knocked down again and again. It feels like the universe is laughing in your face. But here's the joke. That's where things start to get interesting, because when everything falls apart, that's when timing starts to work its magic. But the thing is, it's not working for you yet. Oh no, you're still stuck in the why me phase. And that's where it gets fun. You think you're the one in control, right? You think you're the one calling the shots. But no, timing is out there in the background, orchestrating the chaos. It's like a puppeteer pulling the strings, making sure that the show goes on. Whether you like it or not, you're still thinking, I've got to make this happen, I've got to force it. And that's where you're wrong. Timing isn't asking for your permission, not asking for your input. It's going to do what it wants. And you're just along for the ride. So let's say you're ready to take a step back. Let's say you're finally tired of all this rushing, all this trying to make things happen on your own. You're ready to stop fighting the current. You're ready to stop forcing it? So what happens? Well, when timing decides it's time to move, it's like flipping a switch. One moment you're stuck, spinning your wheels, and the next, boom, everything falls into place. Everything you've been working for, everything you've been stressing about, it just happens. Not because you made it happen, not because you were clever enough, but because the universe, timing, whatever you want to call it, decided it was time. And you were finally ready. It's like that feeling when you're waiting for a train, right? You're standing there on the platform and you've been waiting for what feels like forever. The train is delayed, the schedule's messed up, you're frustrated, you keep checking your watch, but the train doesn't show. But then suddenly it arrives, right on time. And what happens? You get on, you sit down, you relax, and everything falls into place. You were worried, anxious, fighting against the whole situation, and yet, when the time came, you didn't have to do anything. The train was already there. Now, does that mean you sit back, relax, and wait for everything to happen? No, that's not how it works either. Because while timing is doing its thing, you still have to be present. You still have to show up, even when things don't make sense. You can't just sit in your room, throw your hands in the air, and expect it all to fall in your lap. The show must go on. You have to keep moving. But the secret is that you can move with ease, knowing that timing, that little invisible force, is guiding you. When it's time, things will click. When it's time, you'll know what to do. And when you least expect it, you'll find that all that scrambling, all that struggle, all that stress was just a distraction. A little game to keep you busy while everything sorted itself out. And the best part? You didn't have to make it happen. Timing handled the heavy lifting. And well, you just had to show up, be ready, and let it happen. Timing is the real star of the show. Pulling the strings, setting the stage, and you're just the lucky one who gets to ride the wave. You're just the one who gets to enjoy the show when the curtain finally rises. Oh, you want to talk about the road to success, huh? That's a fun one. You think it's all smooth sailing, don't you? A nice straight path from point A to point B, everything neatly falling into place like a well-oiled machine. Who wouldn't want that, right? The truth is, success is more like a twisted roller coaster, full of unexpected dips, sharp turns, and loop-de-loops that'll make your stomach do flips. Oh, but we love it, don't we? We love the ride, even though it's nothing like we expected. And here's the kicker. What if I told you the chaos, the mess, the constant upheaval, that's actually the magic? That's where the real story starts. See, people like to act like success is this golden ticket, this reward for following a neat little formula. But that's not how it works, no. It's a game of chance, a twisted game where the rules change every time you think you've figured it out. 1 minute, you're up, you're winning, you're on top of the world. And the next, crash. You're falling. You're hitting rock bottom so hard that the echoes of your failure are still bouncing around your brain. You feel it, that pit in your stomach, the weight on your chest, the looming question of whether it was all worth it. But let me tell you something. You're in the game, and that's more than half the battle. You think you're supposed to have it all figured out, don't you? You think that if you just follow the steps, if you do everything the right way, it's going to work out in the end. Well, here's the thing. Life doesn't work like that. Life doesn't follow your little rules. No, it has its own agenda, and trust me, it loves to throw curveballs when you least expect it. You get knocked down, you fail, you trip, you fall, and you pick yourself up again, only to get kicked back down. But here's the fun part. Each time you get knocked down, you get a little stronger. Every failure teaches you something new. Every failure is just a stepping stone. A tiny piece of the puzzle that's starting to fit together, even though you can't see the whole picture just yet. You know what's funny? People love to tell you about the finish line. They love to tell you about the victory, the success, the glory, but they never talk about the mess in between, the real work, the real grind. It's never as glamorous as people make it out to be. It's not all about the wins and the trophies. It's about the sweat, the blood, the tears, the exhaustion, the moments when you want to quit, when you want to throw in the towel and say, I've had enough. Those are the moments that matter. Those are the moments that define you, because that's when the real transformation happens. When you're exhausted, when you're broken, when you're at the edge of your rope, that's when you learn what you're made of. And here's the real kicker. When you're in the middle of it, when you're struggling, when you're fighting tooth and nail just to stay afloat, it's hard to see the point. It's hard to see how any of this is going to pay off. You don't have the answers, you don't have the map, and all you've got is a pile of failures and mistakes behind you. But here's the catch. You don't need the answers. You don't need the map. You don't need to know where you're going, because the real magic happens when you stop trying to control everything. You've got to stop fighting the current. You've got to let go. And that's when the universe or fate or whatever you want to call it steps in. When you stop trying to force it, that's when things start falling into place. The truth is, success isn't about waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect plan. It's about showing up over and over again, even when things don't make sense. It's about stepping into the chaos, dancing in the mess, and trusting that the pieces will eventually fall into place. You can't control the timing. You can't control the outcome. But you can control one thing. You can control whether or not you keep showing up. That's the real question. Will you keep going, even when you don't know what the end looks like? Will you keep pushing forward when everything inside you is screaming to quit? That's the game, isn't it? It's not about perfection. It's not about making everything look easy. It's not about avoiding failure or setbacks. It's about continuing to show up, continuing to fight, even when you have no idea how it's going to turn out. The real victory isn't in the wins. It's in the fight. It's in the resilience. It's in the moments when you get knocked down and you still find the strength to stand up again. And when you look back on that roller coaster ride, when you see all the twists and turns and loops and drops, you'll realize that it was all worth it. 'Cause in the end, it wasn't about the destination. It was about the ride.